Hey everyone, we're out in the garden today and I just thought I would give you a look around and show you how everything is doing, and we'll take a little peek-see. This is our July update. So the onions are doing fabulous. They're still growing like crazy and they're doing really, really well. And the lettuce up there, that is doing excellent as well. Got a little basket that I just kind of trimmed it down a little bit this morning, a few minutes ago, so we're going to feed it off to the chickens, and because we grow more lettuce than we can eat, but we use it for chicken food, so that works. And then we had a deer come in last night, and that little bugger sucked down every drop of my Swiss chard. Those rotten deer. Every year there's something. We keep trying different things. So next year I think this will be completely lettuce in this bed here where the Swiss chard is. We'll make the whole thing lettuce and continue with the onions and garlic out here, because that seems to be the only thing that these deer don't touch. And and the carrots, well, they've topped off the carrots. These were nice and big the other day, but they're growing really good so far. And they're starting to go. Here's one little carrot. They're about, a couple inches long right now. Oh, and the neighbor's kitty. Hi, Oreo. We don't have a kitty, but we love him. He comes and eats mice. And let's see, over here in this bed, we had some radishes that we were trying to let go to seed. We've been picking radishes and eating them. They're nice, good size. But the deer have decided to come in and take them out. As you can see, they're not bad size. And they're really tasty and delicious, but we like to always let some go to seed, so we have seeds for next year. And that didn't work out so good over here, but I have one more section closer to the house that we did let go. And then down here we've got a couple of squash plants, and to be honest with you, I can't even remember what they are. I had some like random plants that needed to be planted, and it's some kind of squash. Maybe zucchini, maybe winter squash, maybe. I'm not sure. There's another one over there. And the Sweet Annie is starting to take. This one in really late. I didn't get it in until like the beginning of July. But it's starting to take, which is great. I'm super happy about that. We use the Sweet Annie for crafts. And it's getting nice and bushy and looking really good. So I'm really happy. I have not had any success with Sweet Annie before, and this is the best I've ever done. Yay! It's doing super good. It's blooming and looking good, smells great. We just love all the fresh herbs and stuff to cook with and all that goodness. They're so good for you, and we just love, they're easy to grow. I love, love, love growing. These are another one of those things that I planted that I don't know what it is. If you know what these are, I would love for you to tell me, because I planted a whole bunch of flowers and I can't remember what I planted where. It's always a nice trick, isn't it? But they're super cute and they're all different colors, but they're coming along. And I don't know about these lupins. I remember these are lupins because of the leaves, the shape of the leaves, but they're not looking that great. We keep watering them and they're not loving it here. I don't know. Some things are great and some things not. And this bed has more of, I don't know, no idea what's in it. Can't remember what I planted. But I know that's dill in the back, and that'll be perfect for when the cucumbers are ready, if we get any cucumbers. I only have a couple plants and they will volunteer, so we'll see how that goes. I can always buy cucumbers at the farmer's market or something. The comfrey is way out of control. I can't keep up with it. I've trimmed it a few times. It's just growing and growing. It got knocked over by some heavy rains the other day, and I'm just going to have to cut it way back, I think. But it is growing really good, so I've got tons of it already this year, and it just keeps coming and coming, which is a great thing about comfort. One of the first red raspberries. Look at that. Got one more down here. Oh, and this one's ready to go. Look at that. So yummy. I love these. There's millions and millions of raspberries in here. And they're just not ready. They're just starting to pop. So we'll be having lots of raspberries again. Yay. And our land is just covered in raspberries. The whole border around it. We have about 2 acres. And the whole border of the property is covered in raspberries and blackberries. So that was a blessing in disguise when we bought our property. And you can see over here, the berries are just, there's so many. So many. And these will be ready shortly, another couple weeks. Kind of lost control in here. We had some setbacks, and the weather was crazy, and we had a death in the family, and things just got out of control the last month, and I just could not get it together. So I've been working hard to get back to it, and we have harvested the chamomile 3 or 4 times already, and this is what I'm leaving behind to reseed itself. So it looks kind of atrocious right now, but it needs to reseed so we have it again next year. So we take quite a bit. I've taken probably 10 times this amount that I left behind. But I want to make sure that there's plenty so we have it again next year. And our daisies have just taken off. And the oregano bush this thing just keeps coming back. This is one of those little potted up oreganos you can get in the organic food section in a little tiny 3-inch, 2-inch pot maybe. I don't know. It was super tiny. And I just stuck it in the ground, and this is like 5 years later. It is gigantic. It is just huge. We cannot get this under control. The clematis has passed. It's past its date. The seeds are coming out, so I'm excited about that. And this rose bush is just out of control. It's magnificent. Every year it goes crazy like this. And it just goes on and right up over the top. It's insane. I love it. I love the bright girls pink are absolutely in love with this bush. There are thousands of them all over it. They just love it. It's so good for the bees, and it's so pretty. And then down here we got some little like Johnny jump ups that volunteered, which is cool. They haven't flowered yet, but that's okay. The plant's looking great. And we have some kind of squash or cucumber that volunteered, some parsley, and our sage came back from last year. It's finally starting to get bigger. We still got quite a few months though for this to keep growing. So this will grow right into September. So it'll get nice and big. So we just let this baby grow. And the green beans are fabulous. I got to get in here and pick again. We already picked a couple times. But when you get in here, you can see there are just beans and beans and beans. Tons of them. These are the Provider bush beans. And these are absolutely my favorite ones to grow, because they're so tasty. They give a nice good bean, and they're great right out of the garden. One of my favorite garden snacks, these and sugar snap peas. Yummy. Got a little volunteer dill over here. It's about to flower, so it's starting to do its thing, which is awesome. And we let a good portion of stuff go to seed, so we have seed for next year, because like the dill won't come back on its own unless you seed it, so we just let it reseed itself, which works out nice. And over here we've got onions, and we've cut the parsley back. This thing is just massive. So we've cut it all back and it's starting to grow out again, which is great. And we've got a little celery tucked in here. A little bit of celery tucked in there. And then more radishes to go to seed. This is pretty close to the house. So we're hoping that it doesn't get chewed up by the deer. I don't know if you can see those little flowers. So Mister's out in the garden watering up the strawberries. Getting it done. Such a hot day here in Maine in the 90s. I hope you guys are all staying cool. Ooh. We need an air conditioner. Oh, our tall blueberry bushes are doing really well. But we're just starting to get blueberries. We can, yummy. I just love these. So, we don't have too many blue on this yet that are ready to pick. Just a couple here and there. But they're doing really well. We have two big ones and a third one that's just starting. And these are the Highbush blueberries. And then down here we have a bunch of the low bush wild Maine blueberries. We just transplanted these from the out back that were out in the forest, and you can see these blueberries are just these are the best blueberries. I like the Highbush because they're bigger, but these Maine wild blueberries, oh mama, they are good. I'm gonna start picking these. The strawberries are doing great. We've got them, so they're all doing pretty good. We added a few more. They're looking a little funky, but they were recently planted, and they'll come into it. You can see they're a little funky there. But the rest of them that were here before are all doing really good, and they're getting nice and bushy, and they're producing nice, big, delicious strawberries. So we're really happy with that. Those are almost done for the season. And over here, I planted 3 different kinds of pumpkin. And I don't know what happened. I've never had trouble with growing pumpkins before. They've always just taken off like rockets. And this year, not so much. There's a little something eating this one. It's eating up that plant. So I can see why that one's definitely stunted. But that's the only one that came up of the Cinderella pumpkins. I don't know if it was the seed or the horrible spring that we had that was so cold and wet. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we were having nights in the 40s, so it's so hard to tell what exactly the problem is. But we only got one of those Cinderella pumpkins that came up out of all of the pumpkins. And then down here, I think these are something that volunteered, and I transplanted them here because the pumpkins didn't work. So these could be pumpkins. I'm not sure if they're squash or something in that family. I'm sure of that. And I got one Atlantic pumpkin that came up also back here. And that's the only one that came up out of the entire row. So, but we were able to plant some green beans and get those in. And those are starting to grow really nicely. Those were a late start because we were hoping for pumpkins, but not so good. But these are doing good here. And the peas, the sugar snap peas, oh mama, these are so delicious. If you can grow sugar snap peas, I recommend it. This is like the best snack ever. Right in the garden, just pop them right off. They're so good. I am concerned about washing off the vegetables that are laying in the dirt, but one's way high like that. Snacks. All right, so the blue Hubbard squash here in the back is finally getting to work. It's got all kinds of little buds in there for flowers and what have you. So we got 3 of these plants, and then this whole dead space. I'm not sure what happened to the seeds. We definitely had some seed trouble this year, and it wasn't just one kind. It was the corn, squash, pumpkins, some green bean problems, carrots. So I'm not really sure. Everything that did come is coming on really nice. So this is just the other 2 blue Hubbard squash. And then these took a really long time to get started. These are our Acorn Squash. They took super long because of our rotten spring that we had, but they are really looking great and coming along nicely now that we're finally having some decent nights in the 50s. The last couple weeks it's pretty much been 50, 60 at night, so not too bad. And they're starting to come along. They look really healthy and good. We're not having any trouble with those. So, and Acorn Squash is my absolute favorite squash, so yay! We plant the Norland Red Potatoes. Those are our favorite potatoes that we've grown, so we planted them again this year. And these plants are pretty. There's a couple down here, they're kind of big, and down there they're kind of small. I don't know if it's the sun, or we haven't had this problem before, but this year it's got to be the crazy spring. Must be. I'm blaming everything on the crazy spring because it was really weird. But they're coming along nice. And we've seen a couple little baby tubers growing in there, so that's good. And finally, for the first time, we planted these grape vines 2 summers ago. This is their 3rd summer, and they're finally growing. When we planted them, they just kind of sat there dead all year. And last year we got like 2 leaves on them. And this year we're getting a little more. This one's still really slow. And this one's starting to grow up the fence, which is nice. I'm really happy about that. I would love to get some grapes. And I don't know how long it's going to take, though. I know. The corn looks absolutely ridiculous with all that grass in there. But we tried weeding it before, and it all falls over as soon as the wind blows. So the grass stays. It helps keep it in place. And the corn isn't doing great. Really slow start. But it's coming, and we'll take it. In the greenhouse, the tomatoes are fabulous. It's always warm in here, so you can see we've got little tomatoes started everywhere, all over the place, so that's totally awesome. And on the other side we've got peppers, and they're just starting to bloom. Peppers really need a lot of heat to grow. In Maine, we had such a hard time before we started doing them in a greenhouse, but the greenhouse is definitely key. And you can see, where is that little teeny weeny guy? Look at that little teeny green pepper. It'll be red when it's grown up. It's so cute. Our biggest success to the garden, our biggest attribute, is definitely the bees. These girls are just humming along, doing so great, pollinating like crazy, and they just keep working. It's so amazing. I want to thank you guys for checking out our July garden tour video. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye.